Hold it steady. Almost there.
The Lancia Astura was developed in the early 1930s, in a context where the European automotive industry was still heavily influenced by handcrafted manufacturing thinking. At this stage, Lancia was known as a company that placed emphasis on mechanical engineering and finish quality rather than mass production. The Astura was not conceived as a complete car from the outset, but was developed as a high-end mechanical chassis intended for bespoke bodies. This approach clearly reflected the pre-war luxury car model, where customers purchased the technical platform first, then selected the body shape and style. At this time, separating the chassis from the body allowed Lancia to focus entirely on mechanical engineering, while aesthetics and usable space were entrusted to independent coach builders. The car and Oppo's value lay not in production volume, but in the level of personalization for each owner. The development and production of the chassis took place in Italy. Lancia was responsible for building the complete chassis, while the body was finished by independent coach building workshops according to specific customer requirements. The Astura chassis used a steel ladder frame structure. This was a traditional design consisting of two main longitudinal rails connected by cross members, forming the load-bearing foundation for the entire vehicle. The frame rails were designed deep enough to control flex under load while suiting the long wheelbase. Frame rigidity played a key role since the body contributed little to overall structural strength. The ladder frame structure allowed the Astura to accommodate significant differences in weight and shape across various body styles. A closed sedan, a limousine, or an open touring car could all use the same basic chassis without major structural changes. The crossmembers were arranged to distribute load evenly across the entire frame. This design helped the frame maintain stable geometry when operating on rough roads, which were very common in the early 1930s. The floor was not integrated unitarily with the frame, but was placed on it as a separate component. This approach allowed coach builders freedom in interior layout without interfering with a load-bearing structure. The Astura body had no factory standard design. Metal panels were hand-formed, often attached to a wooden frame before being fixed to the chassis. The use of wooden framing inside the body was not only a technical solution, but also part of the crafting tradition. This method made it easier for workshops to adjust shapes during finishing, but it also meant each Astura had slightly different structural characteristics. The front end was designed to suit the longitudinally front-mounted engine. Body proportions were directly influenced by mechanical layout requirements, with no priority given to aerodynamics. The rear frame extended to support the passenger or luggage compartment, depending on the chosen body style. There was no fixed rear shape for the Astura. In this period, the chassis was viewed as a long-term investment. Owners often expected to rebody a car during its lifetime, adapting it to changing tastes or needs without replacing the mechanical foundation. This philosophy required the Astura's structure to be durable, adaptable, and tolerant of modification, reinforcing Lancia's focus on engineering longevity rather than visual trend. When the chassis was completed, the Astura existed as a mechanical platform rather than a complete car. Size and structural limits were established at this stage. This formed the basis for the Astura to move to the stage of installing mechanical systems and completing the body according to individual orders. The Lancia Astura used a front engine, rear-wheel drive configuration, in line with luxury car standards of the early 1930s. This layout prioritized stability, load-bearing capability, and smooth operation. The Astura was equipped with a V8 engine, a relatively advanced configuration for the time. The engine was developed to provide smooth operation for long journeys rather than focusing on high performance. The use of a V8 showed that Lancia did not take the safe path. While many contemporary luxury cars still used inline-six engines, the Astura aimed for the balance and smoothness characteristic of a V8 layout. The engine block was designed with a philosophy of reducing vibration and maintaining stability during continuous operation. Lancia emphasized consistent running feel over maximum power. The Astura engine and Oppo's operating characteristics were not aimed at delivering instant power, but at maintaining stable rhythm over long periods. This suited the car and Oppo's role as a long-distance touring vehicle. The intake system used carburetors, allowing mechanical adjustment of fuel delivery to the engine. Operation depended heavily on alignment condition and periodic maintenance. The ignition system was entirely mechanical, reflecting the technical level of the pre-war era. Engine stability depended directly on the precision of manual settings. The engine was paired with a manual gearbox, allowing the driver direct control over power transmission. Gear ratios were selected to prioritize steady and quiet cruising speeds. The Astura gearbox required rhythmic and precise operation. Shifting was not aimed at quickness, but at mechanical engagement and gear durability. The propeller shaft transmitted power to the rear axle, with a differential distributed torque to both wheels. This configuration provided predictable feedback across various road conditions. The suspension was designed to handle poor roads and heavy loads. Comfort and durability were given equal priority. The braking system used mechanical actuation, requiring the driver to be proactive and anticipatory when decelerating. In the road conditions of the era, braking was typically performed early and planned, combining foot brake and engine braking. The unassisted steering transmitted direct feedback from the front wheels to the steering wheel. The driver clearly sensed road surface conditions through steering input. Rather than isolating the driver from mechanical behavior, the Astura required constant awareness. Sounds, vibrations, and resistance were interpreted as information rather than discomfort. Driving the Astura was an act of coordination, where understanding the car's rhythm mattered more than aggressive control inputs. Overall, the Astura and Oppo's mechanical systems reflected a philosophy of slow and controlled operation. The car did not encourage abrupt maneuvers, but required the driver to understand each system and Oppo's limits. The interior space of the Lancia Astura had no fixed standard. Cabin design depended entirely on the coach builder executing the body. Seating position was typically higher than in modern sports cars, reflecting the common driving posture of the era. The high seating position helped the driver observe better in mixed traffic conditions, where automobiles, horse-drawn carriages, and pedestrians still shared the roads. Seats were hand-upholstered, prioritizing comfort on long trips. Body support during cornering was not a primary goal. In practical use, the Astura's interior was designed around long-duration travel rather than short, dynamic driving. Seating comfort, upright posture, and ease of entry mattered more than lateral support or aggressive positioning. This reflected the reality that journeys often lasted many hours and were conducted at steady speeds rather than rapid directional changes. Different body styles also created noticeably different interior experiences. A formal sedan emphasized rear passenger comfort and quietness, while open touring bodies exposed occupants to weather, sound, and road conditions. Despite sharing the same chassis, each Astura variant offered a distinct relationship between occupants and the road. The instrument panel was laid out simply, with basic gauges displaying speed and engine status. The limited number of gauges reflected the view that the driver should focus on driving feel rather than monitoring numerous technical parameters. All controls were mechanical, requiring force and precision from the driver. The Astura exterior varied significantly between versions. Coach builders shaped the body in their own styles, from formal sedans to open touring cars. Differences between versions lay not only in shape, but also in how the car was used in daily life. Body lines were often soft and elongated, emphasizing elegance over sportiness. Exterior design communicated social role as much as function. Formal bodies suggested authority and discretion, while open cars reflected leisure and status. When interior and exterior were completed, each Astura became a unique individual despite sharing the same mechanical foundation. After the body was completed, the Astura entered the final paint and inspection stage. The body surface was hand-treated to achieve flatness and uniformity before painting. Paint was applied in multiple layers, with drying and processing intervals. In the pre-war period, inspection did not focus on quantifiable performance figures, but on operational soundness. A car was considered acceptable when it started reliably, ran smoothly, and showed no abnormal mechanical behavior during extended operation. This approach reflected a time when durability and consistency were valued more than measurable output. Because each body was handcrafted, inspection also involved visual assessment of surface continuity and panel transitions. Small variations were tolerated as part of the manufacturing process, reinforcing the idea that the Astura was a crafted object rather than an industrially standardized product. The hand-painting process meant each Astura had slightly different color depth and surface finish, even when using the same paint. After painting, panels and details were rechecked before delivery. The mechanical systems were tested to ensure stable operation. Inspection focused on basic operating condition rather than achieving a specific performance standard. Approval for delivery was based on confidence in reliability, not conformity to numerical targets. After leaving the workshop, the Lancia Astura entered real-world use. Owners often had a dedicated chauffeur or were already familiar with complex mechanical operations. Driving was a skill requiring experience. The Astura prioritized smoothness and stability over speed. A typical Astura journey was planned rather than spontaneous. Routes were chosen with road conditions in mind. Stops were expected, and mechanical sympathy guided driving behavior. Long-distance travel involved steady pacing, careful braking, and an awareness of terrain rather than attempts at high average speed. In everyday life, the Astura often served as both a personal vehicle and a symbol of status. Whether driven by an owner or a chauffeur, the car represented reliability, refinement, and preparedness rather than excitement. Its presence on the road communicated discretion and technical confidence rather than spectacle. Road conditions significantly influenced the usage experience. In the context of limited transportation infrastructure, durability and load-bearing capability were more important than maximum speed. Delivery marked the transfer of responsibility to the owner. The Astura represented an era when every journey was a carefully prepared undertaking. Driving the Astura meant accepting that travel itself required intention. Each trip was an event shaped by planning, patience, and mechanical understanding. When the Astura merged into daily life, the production process officially concluded. What remained was a car representative of the pre-war luxury automobile period.